Hello and welcome back to DriveDriverDriven. I'm Humble and we're back on the Blunicorn rebuild project. Things are moving fast. I find that I'm trying to catch you guys up more than I'm actually filming anything that I'm doing. 9 days and counting. Well, I should say 9 build days and counting to get this into a drivable car and get it ready for dyno day. So let me show you where I'm at now. Not much has changed since the last time I showed you the progress here, except for our luggage bin covers. So the luggage bins are in, and these are the nice RS carbon fiber covers. They don't come trimmed. You have to trim them to size yourself. So I sort of cheated because I already had the aluminum sills, which I could copy. So if you happen to be like me and rebuilding your car that was on fire and you happen to have your aluminum sill covers handy still, you can just copy those. However, if you don't have a half-burned car with aluminum sill plates that were already cut available, what you can do is take a bit of cardboard and lay it out and then cut around all of the cage tubes. And then come back to about here. I would say 3 to 4 inches past the rear of the cage here. And then up in the front, it just needs to come up into this area. But if you just cut a piece of cardboard, then you can use that as your template just like this. Interestingly, there is a kind of a lowered lip, lowered return here on the carbon fiber bit that wasn't there on the aluminum panels, and that's where the nice new carbon fiber luggage bin covers lay in. One tip that I will say for those who are building your cars, when you're working on these panels, you can rough cut around the tubes and then finish with a file, just file to shape. And you're going to test fit multiple times. But when you are working with a file or working on the panel, work from the back side. That way, if you get overzealous with anything or you accidentally scratch the surface like I did here, you scratch the back side of the panel, not the beauty side of the panel. And that will save you a whole bunch of headache for trying to rework and refinish after making a mistake and scarring up the pretty side. Another thing you want to do is all these little corners down in here and up in here, anything that's in the passenger side, so like down here and this guy, anything that folds over this lip, you want to round the corners of, just to make sure that it doesn't catch you or catch your passenger when you're getting in and out of the car. And same thing for this edge here, is just give it a quick little finish sand with some high grit, 1000 grit, whatever, sandpaper, just to take the edge off of it and really just finish the edge of the panel so that you don't have to worry about, scratching or catching on clothing or anything like that. Anything that might adversely affect your passengers or the panel itself. And then fitting it in, just as easy as that. And you can see how up in here, it comes nice and tight, comes over the edge, all the way back here, and then in the back here. And then your center tub is going to come down and meet on this panel here. These are just the luggage bin covers. Really not too much to film. It's just a quick and easy job since I happen to fall into the category of having my car half burned and having my aluminum sills available to copy. But as I said, if you're doing this on your own for the first time, just use a bit of cardboard and then cut out the shape. It'll make your life a lot easier. When you are working with the carbon, make sure that you are wearing your PPE, like eye protection, lung protection, like a mask, whatever. Carbon dust is very, very bad. It's worse than asbestos. It's carcinogenic. Like it's really nasty stuff. I can't highlight that point enough. So just make sure you're not breathing in that carbon dust when you're working with it. And then when you're done working with the carbon panels, just wash your hands and everything just to so you don't transfer that carbon dust around. Got our side pods done. I don't know if I've showed it before, but this is the bit that I was using. So this is a plunge and cut sort of bit for the Dremel, which is fantastic at just chewing through fiberglass. As before, I had put our template on, marked it out, and cut through. I've done both of the side pods now, so this is our brake duct. If I can fit this in one-handed. And it sits, if I hold it, it'll sit flush, just like that on this side. And then on this side, there's a bit of a gap around, which I'm going to fill with the bond and seal, just like I did before. Well, I didn't do this on the previous version, actually, but this brake duct, or this wheel vent area, I planned to black out. And I had wanted to do that before, I just never got around to it. So I do want to do that this time. But that's also another tip for Ultima builders. If you're not happy with your gap around this area, you can just fill the holes with seam sealer and black out the duct area, and it goes really far at hiding your crimes in this area. So like, this is still really rough, and I have to come back through here and hit it with the file and just get it all nice and smooth. But otherwise, that's both of the brake ducts down. So with the side pods done, more or less, and the luggage bins done, next up is I need to focus on the center tub, and that needs a couple things. We need to cut out the dash so that the aim dash can go in. We need to decide where we want our can buttons to go, that 2x4 or the 8-button can pad, also from Motec. If we want that on the driver's left towards the sill area, or if we want it in the middle, if there's room, to go between the wheel and the aim dash, which I don't think there is. I think that'll end up sitting sort of behind the wheel in the view for the driver. Previously, I had all my buttons on driver's left, and while it looked good in pictures and the dash layout, it was a little weird to get to, a little awkward, because your arm is actually over the sill and you have to bring it in and kind of T-Rex the buttons a little bit because of where they're located next to the steering wheel. Also on the center tub, we'll have to cut the holes for our wipers. We'll have to do our sound deadening. So next up, we'll get the center tub flipped upside down and start working on that. So I start working and I get carried away, and I made a bunch of progress and I forgot to film any of it. So I guess that's sort of what happens. Let me show you what I've done and the progress I made on the dash, and then I'll explain what that noise is in the background. So I got the center tub set up on stands here inside the garage. As you can see, I've pretty much already done all the work. I've got our holes cut for our vents. I did decide to put our button panel over on driver's left side with the lift buttons right next to it. I kept my dash in the middle. I really like that position. It looks good, at least to my eye, centrally in the middle of the dash. And then it's also easily in sight line from the driver's position and not blocked by the steering wheel or anything else. Like I did before, I put my brake bias adjuster and my fire pole down to the right a little bit, and that's because if if you look under here, they both have long cables that need to run both to the back and then up to the front under the pedals, and you have to make way for all the HVAC system that's behind this panel, so those are offset over to the passenger side. Next up in the center tub is two things need to happen. Is I need to do the headliner up in this area, and I need to put our sound insulation on the back bulkhead here, but on the side, up across the top through there, and on the other side. Once that's done, I can lay the dash pad in, or in my case, I went with the Alcantara dash cover, and I'll be gluing that in like I did before. One thing I want to point out is there's a little kind of crevice here, and what I did is widen that out a little bit with like a cutoff wheel so that I can tuck our headliner down in there. It's kind of thin. Same with our dash covers. You can tuck it in there and it gives it a more finished look. And I did that for both sides. So basically the dash is more or less finished for now, and it's just headliner and stuff now. The whole reason I kind of got sidetracked and then distracted and I forgot to film was that hum you hear in the background. The fittings for the AC system had come in, so I used that opportunity to finish running our AC lines, and that noise you hear is the vacuum pump. So going through our AC system really quick, you have our compressor here, and compressed gas comes out of the hot side up here to the condenser, which is underneath the radiator there. Out of the condenser, it comes up to our receiver dryer. Out of the receiver dryer into our evaporator, and that's what makes all your cold air. And then out of the HVAC assembly, and then back down into the low pressure side of our pump. As far as accessing these ports, you can do so through an access panel that'll be here, and then there's also going to be an access panel in the bottom of the side pod, so that if I need to remove or service the pump in the future, I can do so from the underside of the car. What I'm doing with the vacuum pump right now is you can see it's pulling a vacuum on the high and low side, and what that does is it'll evacuate any air or moisture or anything like that that's in the lines, moisture from the air, any moisture that's absorbed into the rubber, etc. Anything that was in the condenser or the system itself or whatever. Basically pull all that moisture out by drying out the system. And then once it's pulled vacuum for a while, you close off the system, and then you leave a vacuum inside and you let it sit for I let it sit overnight and then check it in the morning, and if the gauges are still reading 0 or whatever, 30 inches of vacuum or thereabouts, as long as it still has a vacuum overnight, you have a sealed system and you're ready to go. And at that point you can charge, you can add some a little bit of lube and charge, and your system is ready to go. So once that's all set, I'm gonna add a little bit of pump lubricant and charge the system, and we can actually test the AC, because I don't need the engine running for it, so we can actually test the AC system on battery power and make sure it blows cold air. So speaking of our AC system, I wanted to show really quick the crimper tool I had mentioned previously. So these are the different crimper dies in different sizes, and that shape will make a little more sense once you see the actual tool. You just hold it in the vise, pin it together, put your fitting in here, and then clamp down. And then this tool actually has a mark here, so as it compresses, you can make sure that you put enough pressure there, or not too much and not too little, to make sure you have a good seal. So continuing to make progress on basically little bits here and there. The other parts that I was waiting for showed up today, so that is the last bit of wiring for the AIM system, so I can get that run and finalized. I can start to work on pulling the engine and getting the clutch put together. And then I've started to make a list of things that we need to knock out in some semblance of order to get the assembly process correct. So I still need to finish up side pods and get those air ducts bonded in. And then once those are done and the center tub is ready, we'll get those put on the car. So with that being said, I think I'll save the headliner and the last little bit of sound deadening for the next go round, and I'll call it a day here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.